Hey, hi guys. So if we don't get Kevin on board, then I guess we have a February meeting set up just in case. So we can just go over stuff real quick today. And then if worse comes to worse, just confirm that everybody will be there for either February or March.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything super timely that we have to take care of, right at this moment. And it could probably wait to the February meeting. But I think a good discussion tonight is in order and will be very helpful.
And Linda, I'm not sure, certainly where I sit, you cut out in the beginning. So I think what you basically said was because we don't have quorum yet, we're not officially in a meeting. So we're just going to try to talk about some things and hopefully quorum happens. And if not, then.
Well, we can still write up.
Wait a minute. Linda's not.
Linda, you were totally mute that time. Oh, this is fun. Read her lips.
Can you hear me or not?
Now we can.
Now we can.
So,
I don't know what is going on with my computer. All right, I guess I'm going to stand. You guys are going to see me up close and personal. I have no idea what's the matter. This computer has a mind of its own. So, but yeah, we'll just talk about items and see what happens. And well, if worse comes to worse, we have February's meeting.
and Jean can still come up with some informal notes. That'll be helpful, I think.
Okay. All right. So we can't really talk about December's meeting minutes at this point, so we'll just bypass all of that.
All right.
Suzanne and I were talking a little bit before everybody showed up, just talking real briefly about the tree planting and stuff. I will try and get in touch with some nurseries and with Monica about maybe some potential dates that we can talk about at the next meeting to finish up Patterson. So Patterson looks like it's probably going to be at least a 2-day event, the 1 day to finish up the stream, and then the 1 day to do the piece along Mirror Lake Road.
Yeah. And you wanted to do around the lake or the pond also? Do you still want to do that?
I have to talk to Greg about that to see if that no one has any objections on that one.
All right. And as we're going through this, we should decide whether we want to send a letter. I sent that draft of it out.
Regarding that, I think Charles Bame is going to have to get taken off because I did get in touch with somebody from maintenance from the school district.
Uh-huh.
And I talked to Jim Majewski. They're looking to redo Charles Bame, so there's no point in putting that on a list until the school is actually done. Because why would we do any work along the tributary and then if they have construction material, like God forbid anything happens?
Wait, they're constructing a Bame?
They might be redoing Bame.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're next on the Penwood got reconstructed.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Well,
I want to do the tributary, but I'd rather have the construction completed before we do the tributary.
Yeah, it was Jim Majewski's idea. So that's why I put it in there. And it is a poster child for stream bank erosion. You saw that photo.
And that's the other thing. That's not going to be. I think we need to sit down with the township engineer. That's not going to be simple, just straight out planting. Looking at some of those banks, I think we might have to do some pullback on them.
Yeah, probably right. All right, I'll take it out of the letter.
Okay.
All right, and we still have, on a long-term basis, many places in the master plan where to put trees. So that's not going to be an issue. I think the only issue is at a specific time where we want to put them in.
Yeah, I think for next year between Patterson and if Keola. Oh, hey, Kevin.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Okay, we're starting all over. Yay.
Well, now we can approve minutes if you're ready to approve minutes.
All right, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. All right, so I'm calling the EAC meeting to order, 5 o'clock, the 5 o'clock meeting on January 13th to order. Do I hear a motion?
I make the motion. Yeah.
Second? Anyone
I'll second.
Okay.
I don't think we have to second to open the
Oh,
meeting.
do we? I
Yeah,
don't know.
Just open it.
All right.
Meeting's to order, whatever. Okay. Did everyone get a chance to look at the meeting minutes from December?
Yes.
And
Yes.
did anyone have any other comments based from what I sent you guys?
No, they look good.
Nope.
No, they look good to me.
All right, I will finalize them and send them out to everybody. Okay. Next item, tree planting. All right, so we started this topic and we're going to start it again. So tree planting in the spring is going to consist of the remainder of Patterson Farm tributary. And an additional day of planting will probably be the location just south of the entrance along Mirror Lake Road.
Right.
And then fall, hopefully, will be Keola, the rest of Keola, depending on whether the trail gets completed in the summer.
It's supposed to be, I think.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah. So we should plan on that. And then the Reagan track, maybe. I don't think they've finished evaluating the Reagan track yet. They're in the process of evaluating all the basins, inspecting them. But that would be one, and then the Makefield would be the other in the letter, just to put them out there and have people aware of it. And I don't know how many we want to be involved in. I assume it's just Patterson Farm and Keola Fields along Edgewood and Oxford Valley Road. Do we want to commit to helping with those? It's mainly you, Linda. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem. I want to finish Keola out since we started
Sure.
it.
Okay. So.
And I do want to try and the basin had a bunch of shrubs that were eaten by deer. So when we finish out the second half, I want to supplement the basin while we're out there.
All right. But that'll be in the fall.
That'll be in the fall.
Okay. So I'll mention that in the letter that we'll specifically help out with those two locations.
Okay.
So we've got a lot of money in the tree bank, 108,000. So we do have money to do all of these if we wanted.
And hopefully we're going to have a lot more in the near future.
Yeah, Picket Preserve fits in a little bit. Do we have any? So we would just send. Do you want to send the letter out or not? I mean,
we can send it. Yeah, I don't see any harm in it. Just to give the township an idea of what we want to do.
yeah, raise the issue, make them aware, and then we want to have a meeting. I assume in maybe March. How much before? You're thinking late April for Patterson?
I was thinking late April or May.
Early
depending.
May. Okay. Yeah, so,
I mean, I guess we have to try and figure it out volunteer-wise because depending on what goes on between April and May with other organizations. But yeah.
all right. So a meeting maybe in late March.
That would work.
Okay. I'll put that in there. All right. So I'll make those changes. I'll take out Rock Creek near Bame and say we're going to do Patterson and the Keola Fields, and then have the other two in there if the township wants to do Makefield on their own. And then Reagan Track, just to keep it on the radar. Eventually, it'd be nice to do that one. So do I have approval to send this out maybe next week? Do you want to vote?
Yeah.
Okay, I got one vote. Linda, yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we need one more vote. Yes, okay. All right, I vote yes. We'll send it out. All right. That's good.
All right. The Arboretum, I guess we're just keeping this on here for now, right?
Yeah, I plan on talking to Monica, but I think it's a little premature yet. But I think February would be appropriate time to discuss that with her because, you want to set this up early. I'm actually going to be getting some trees for our backyard. And one of the nurseries I deal with, they want you to order like 3 or 4 months ahead of time to make sure.
Oh, yeah. I know I'm going to have to start getting in touch with the nurseries about Patterson probably by February.
And who are you dealing with, Linda? I think in the past Brook.
So I was dealing with Pinelands, but when we did the first half of Patterson, Feeney's provided us with some amazing material. And I think just to keep it all uniform over there, I'm just going to go through them so that all of the trees match. But they gave us a lot, and then Shady Brook gave us a lot of material. And then Monica did give me another email with another potential nursery. I'll forward it over to you.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's a good idea. The thing with Fernbrook, though, I've dealt with them in the past for some prior plantings in the municipality, and the quality of their stuff is pretty amazing. I think their prices are fair, and they have the larger caliper material too. Like 2.5, 3.5 inches. So,
yeah, if it's for something like the Arboretum, I think that would be good. For something like if we're going to do volunteer work, that's like some of the volunteers were having issues. We're struggling moving some of the material that we had for Patterson through really big stuff. So for volunteer stuff, I don't want to get anything that's too big just because of that whole trying to move everything around. And
no, I agree. But as you said, for the Arboretum, for the Compass Arboretum, I think that's a good choice. And I had a couple of species selected, and I'm going to talk to Monica about that. And I think they would be appropriate. And I'll run that by you as well, Linda, and anybody else who's interested. But I'm going to probably get into that starting in February, okay?
okay.
So as you probably know, this being 2021, it's the 20th anniversary of September 11th, and the township is forming a committee looking for volunteers to help work on the memorial service. So if I'm hearing you right, Jim, and there's concerns about some of the plantings over there, the sooner we get that looped into the whole process so that, it's either done well in advance, or if not, then done after.
No, I think it'll be done way before, Suzanne. That's our goal anyway. I'm thinking about a spring planting there.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's really only 2 or 3 trees, right?
Yeah, that's 2 or 3 trees, but there also has some pruning work has to be done, as
that's true. Yeah,
being out there with me, Linda. And if the township can't get to it, that's something that I'm capable of doing, and it's not a big deal. But before I go out with my little pruning shears, I just want to make sure that we get approval from maintenance if that's going to be the case. If they want to do it, that's fine with me too.
Well, as I think you know, but if you don't, we did lose 2 members of Park and Rec. People who work on the trees passed away in the fall. So our small staff has been, really impacted, obviously, by that. So I do think, Jim, if one was a master gardener per se, maybe they could do that kind of stuff. But the other side of me wants to say that's probably a union position, and you'd have to do it under cover of dark.
Yeah. Well, I am a master gardener, but pruning.
You are. I know you are.
I know, but pruning in the dark is difficult, Suzanne.
Yeah, I do know that Monica does know about the maintenance work because I sent her a copy of the trees and what needed to be maintained, so they do know about it. I think it's just a matter of reminding her.
Yeah, and I'll find out if Fernbrook has the specific trees we're looking for and the whole story, and then I'll run that by Monica to make sure that she's on board, and we'll just go from there.
Okay. All right, so then that brings us to Alan and land use.
Okay, Jim Majewski sent out those plans for 1442 Oxford Valley Road. I think, Linda, you forwarded them to everybody.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be a big deal because it's just a 2-acre lot that they're splitting into 2. One will be there's already a home there. They're going to add another lot in the back.
And it looks like everything's being done in open area.
Yeah,
right?
there's a little bit of woods and a creek at the very back of the second lot, the new lot.
I don't think anything's happening there aside from.
Right, they got a 50-foot buffer on the creek, and I'll check the woodlands calculation, but I think it's going to be okay. I don't think this is going to be a big project worthy of comments. But I'll let you know next meeting.
Okay.
Now on to Pickett Preserve. Just a little reminder what's going on. They submitted their initial plans on September 11th. On November 5th, we sent in a comment letter on those plans. I think we had 11 comments. Next, the applicant submitted a revised plan, which was essentially the same as the initial plan. They made a few changes, but they also gave responses to all comments made, both ours and the township engineer and everybody else. And they did that on December 11th. So I have sent out another comment letter based on this latest revision and mainly on the responses to our initial 11 comments. And I think I sent you all copies of that. There are 5 comments. And I'll just real quickly, maybe in 5 minutes, go over their responses to our November 5th initial letter, and the good and the bad and the ugly. We'll go through those. But first we'll do the good. It looks like they got the native plant issue taken care of. We commented on that, and so did our township engineer. And it looks like that's no longer an issue. They're all natives or cultivars of natives, and we're good with that. So that's one good response. And then we had a number of comments on the height of the clock tower. The main clock tower, it's going to be, 80 feet above ground. And we suggested they do a view shed analysis on that, just to get an idea of what it's going to look like from the surrounding area. And apparently they're going to do that at the Planning Commission meeting on the 25th of January. So that was a good response. We're happy with that. So we can see what it looks like and decide whether we like it or not. We also wondered about signs on that big clock tower, and they said that would be up to the supervisors to decide. So that's up to you, Suzanne. We don't want a giant neon Wegman sign though. Way up top there. That'd be pretty bad. Then we asked for electrical vehicle charging stations. They revised their plan and put in 6 chargers at 3 different locations. And Kevin, I'm not an expert on electric vehicle charging stations and what's sufficient, but is 6 a pretty good amount for a development like that?
You're on mute, Kevin.
Sorry about that. I would think so, as long as they're kind of spread out a little bit and not all in the same places.
Okay, they are. So we're good with that. We asked for some green building technologies and sustainable building construction, and they said it's too early in the process. And I was going to ask you about that too, Kevin, because they said to consider green building technologies, but they will consider them, but they haven't advanced to the architectural design far enough to determine that. Now,
That makes sense.
does that make sense? Okay, because they have.
Yeah, because typically, just from my profession, we don't get involved usually until as an engineer, until later on in the game.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'll add a comment that says, well, we hope you do it. We encourage you to do it, blah, 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 just to keep it on the table. So I'll add a comment to the draft letter we have.
Also, from an economic viewpoint, LEED certified buildings, they said initially there was about 11 to 15% premium to building those things. But I think now it's pretty much the same as conventional building. And of course, you have the downstream benefits from the certification process. Does that jive with what you've been hearing, Kevin?
Well, as the requirements for energy code get more strict as they have been, there becomes less and less of a difference. If they are looking to go with LEED or some sort of certification, then it's not too early to start that process. So if they were planning to go that route, they probably would have already started it, because a lot of it has to do with site and selection and sustainable sites, water management, that sort of thing that's related to the site.
Well, in a way, they're en route to do that already because by LMT having a native plant ordinance, that accounts for, several points in the green building code process. So anyway, let's just hope that, that catches on with them and they end up doing it.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going to go to the draft comment letter I sent out earlier this week. There are 5 comments on it. First one deals with the tree replacement ordinance. They still want a waiver from that. They've reduced the number of replacement trees that they're not fulfilling the requirement of. It was 980, something like that. And now they're down to 848. So they planted an additional 140 trees on site, but that's apparently all they want to do. So in our comment, I've listed 5 specific reasons why we think they should comply with the tree replacement ordinance and not get a waiver. The amount they'd have to pay to the tree bank now is $267,000. It was, I think, $308,000 before. So the amount has gone down, but they still don't want to pay it. A couple reasons I've added from the previous comment letter. I mentioned how they're going to take down hundreds of trees in the 6 to 10 inch caliber range. Now, our tree replacement ordinance doesn't cover those trees. They can take those down without having to plant replacement trees. But that is an environmental impact that would be a factor in this decision on whether to give them a waiver or not. I also mentioned in the comment that not only did we recommend the waiver not be granted, but our township engineer recommended the waiver not be granted, and Bucks County Planning Commission also recommended the waiver not be granted. So we're not alone on this. And then the last additional reason was a response to the reasons they gave for not planting those trees on site or paying into the tree bank. And they said it would hinder buildings and infrastructure and the health of the trees. So that's why there's no space to plant anymore. And I said, we can look at that site and find hundreds of places to plant trees. Because I think the real reason is the second reason they gave is that more trees don't fit into the overall design and intent of the project. And that's fine. If they don't want to put the replacement trees on site, they can do that, but they should pay into the tree bank the amount for each of those trees, $315. So that's the response now to that.
Excuse me, Alan, but I think the real answer there is monetary. And it's a little disturbing to me because they're going to spend $60 million on that project, and they're chafing at following one of our very important ordinances that's going to cost them about $250,000. The only problem that I have is I don't know if this ordinance of ours has ever stood any legal tests. So I guess if they really are serious about this, they could take us to court over that. Now, Suzanne, you're an attorney. What's your feeling about something like that?
So I'm not admitted in Pennsylvania, so I cannot opine on the interpretation of Pennsylvania law. That being said, I think there's a reason nobody's challenged it yet, Jim. I mean, you can sue anybody anytime you want, but it would have seemed that the ordinance is on solid footing.
Well, that was our hope, Suzanne, and I hope that proves true in the future. And I won't count that as an official answer, okay, since you're not registered in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I think in this case it would stand up. So I don't think they have a leg to stand on. And I think the project's going to be over $100 million.
Oh.
That's what they estimated. So, yeah.
Well, then shame on them a second time.
Yeah, I don't understand why they're fighting this. It's just, they're creating bad will. They shouldn't be doing that. All right, the next couple comments are on the parking situation. In our previous letter, we suggested there be a parking analysis. I forget what they call it, a shared parking analysis, and maybe designate some reserve parking where they could put additional parking at these locations in the future if they find out they need it. So they could just add it at a later date. The township engineer agreed with us that they should be doing these things. And the applicant came back and said, after further consideration, the applicant has decided to forego the preparation of a parking analysis. And they gave no data to support what they're proposing or anything. It's just, that's it. So we're going to reiterate some of our concerns, specifically the one asking for a shared parking analysis. And the big reason for this is that, when you come up with the number of parking spots that they did, it's 1,213 total, and I think 855 in the retail section. You come up with the number for each store specifically, like it's sitting off all by itself. But you look at this development, all these buildings are near each other within a couple hundred feet. So if you're going to go to a couple of buildings, you're not going to go in your car to one building and drive a couple hundred feet to another building and go to that store. You're going to walk. And I think if they looked into this, they might be able to reduce the parking number of parking spots based on that. And also they should be looking at when each of these types of stores, the supermarket, the bank, the drugstore, the restaurants, when they have their peak demand, because they don't overlap. So you could have shared parking in that respect, And one of the things that comes to mind is at the Planning Commission in November, they mentioned that First Watch Cafe, it looks like it might be a tenant, which is great. It's a place, they've got, hundreds of stores throughout the country or restaurants. But the thing is, it's a breakfast and lunch restaurant, and it closes down at 2:30. At least that's what they say on the website. So that means the parking around that restaurant is going to be empty from 2:30 on. So why can't another store use that parking spot when they have their peak period, like, the supermarket's later peak period, and in the restaurant, if it's a, sit-down restaurant, that's even later, 6, 7, and 9. So, we're asking them just to at least look at this before you go ahead and put in 1,213 parking spots.
Yeah, this is a wise thing to do because we've lived in Bucks County a long time. And when you go to any of these malls or shopping areas, it seems that the cars are taking up about only half the parking spaces.
Yeah.
It's really ridiculous because, it's all that impervious surface that's been ruined.
Right. Even before the COVID, you go to Oxford Valley Mall, sees empty parking spots, and the area across the street there that has Home Depot and Dick's and Barnes and Noble, that always has plenty of parking. They overbuild with parking, and it costs them money. Parking spots cost $5,000 to $10,000 each. So you think there'd be more interest in this, but not yet. Hopefully, we'll turn them around. And the next is consider reserve parking, which I described before. You build and see how many people come and see if you actually need all this parking. And then if you do, you can put in a parking lot pretty quick. And before that could be green space. They could use it as part of their community green space. So that's our second comment. And I added a couple more reasons for that, but I won't go into that right now. But I would like to get a little more detailed response out of the applicant. It just seems this is an issue that they should respond to. Any questions? All right, number 3.
Nice job as usual, Alan.
Yeah, I wish we'd get a response. Number 3 is pervious pavement. We asked for some of that, and they actually did add 57 pervious pavement parking spots. 25 in the Wegmans parking lot and 32 over at the residential housing. And I added a comment that said, that's great, but maybe could you bump it up a little bit? Because what was it, 57 parking spots, a small fraction. That's less than 5% of the total parking spots. So, bump it up a little bit. And that covers maybe about 1% of the total impervious surface they're going to have. So we're just suggesting maybe they add double that or make it a little higher, because there are environmental benefits to pervious pavement, and they should be taking advantage of it. And the last two comments are on traffic issues, the same ones as we made before. They did actually respond to our comment about recalculating trip generation from the development, because initially they just used a generic retail traffic generation number, but now they're getting more data on what's going to go in there, restaurants, drugstores, banks. So they should regenerate that. And they did, but they didn't give us any of the background information on how they generated that. And so we're going to say, that's great, you gave us that number, but could you please give us the background information? What types of stores did you assume were going in there? Just trust but verify. Just make sure the numbers are good. And the last one is the congestion at Yardley, Langhorne, and Stony Hill intersection. I still can't get a straight answer from them on that, because it's at a poor level of service right now, and they're saying in the future it's going to get a lot better, even though between now and then there's going to be over 400 new cars going through that intersection per hour during the peak PM and Saturday peak. The clarification on that. Their response, they referenced a different intersection. They referenced the Newtown Bypass Stony Hill Road intersection and the signal light improvements there, but that doesn't address the intersection we're interested in. So that's why I'm asking that one again. And that's it. Jim Majewski said he would like our comments by the end of next week, before the Planning Commission meeting on the 25th, where they're going to talk about Pickett Preserve. So I will go ahead and make one or two changes to what I sent out before. And do people want to see it again or not? Because I could send it out for your review again. Okay.
No, I've read it 2 or 3 times, Alan, and I think, we just discussed the changes tonight, so going to go through a lot of more red tape.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, you could just, send it out. I don't know about it.
I'll send it out next week. And yeah, thanks for catching that typo, Jim.
Oh, that's all right.
That was a good one. That helps. All right. So we'll send that out and see what happens. Go from there. And that's it on land reviews.
What about the Pennsylvania American water booster pump station?
I've heard nothing new on that one. Have you, Suzanne?
Which one?
The across from the township building, the one where the big water tower is. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything on that one. So.
Okay.
Hold for now.
Cycling, I heard the styrofoam event went very well. Sorry, I wasn't there. I had something to do.
We had a lot of fun.
Good.
Good.
You filled up 1.5 vans, 2 vans?
One and a half.
Well, it's actually I hear more than that, because the one we almost couldn't get the door shut. That counts as more than one. But again, very successful, I think. And the people universally say that this is one of the best things that the township is doing. So I think this is a real plus for the environment, and I think a real good plus for positive publicity in LMT.
All right. So we'll have another one again later, maybe around Labor Day or sometime, roughly 6 months.
Don't you think, shouldn't we have one in the spring?
Oh.
Well,
What do you think would be the need, like,
Well, the only thing is, if there's the bandwidth, I think people are getting a lot more stuff delivered with COVID. I mean, I was kind of amazed. One woman must have had a lot of frozen food come to her house. I was like, whoa.
Right.
And I know stray cats didn't need any more homes, so we weren't able to even, redeploy it that way. So that might be a consideration for trying to do one in the spring.
I think a lot of people, everybody, not everybody, but most of the people that were there asked when we were going to have another one.
All right.
Now, there are a bunch of people that just save them up, and it'd be nice to, I don't think we'd have any trouble. I would bet if we did it every month, we'd get people, but
Mark Bortman probably wouldn't like that.
Mark Bortman wouldn't like that. So,
Well, that's all right. We're giving him an award, so he
Yeah.
What's your problem?
right. So,
All right, May or June?
Huh?
May or June?
yeah, maybe May, you think? I mean, they're so easy, pretty easy to put together, and as long as Mark's the only one that's inconvenienced a lot.
No, I think the end of May sounds good, and maybe another one later in the year, because there's no dearth of this stuff. This stuff
Right.
manufactures itself, I think, sometimes, and so I don't think it's going to be any issue, filling up vans again.
do you
Okay.
want to see what date would work best for Mark since he's the one providing the van?
Yeah,
And go from
Gene,
there?
why don't you check with Mark? And I'm thinking like towards the end of May and
Yeah,
That's
November sometime, or
Well, yeah, maybe after Labor Day, September, and then we'll have another one after Christmas.
yeah.
right.
Right.
Do you want to talk to Mark, Alan? You like talking to Mark?
Oh, I love it.
Well, I'm going to be talking to Mark anyway.
Oh, never mind. You will
So
talk to Mark.
I can certainly take care of that and see what his time frame is.
Yeah, I'm sure he's pretty open at this point, but yeah, we could pick a date and lock him down. All right.
Do we know if there'll be any other type of recycling events that we could start getting the word out, even if they're not by us?
What about the electronic people in what was it, Town or
no, it was Langhorne.
Langhorne? Does anybody know if they're still active?
No, but I haven't heard they're not active, so.
Yeah, I'll call them and see if they're still active. And then I think we ought to be publicizing that, even if it's just, I think people would like to use this service like that.
Well, our newsletter, it'd be good to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. That electronic recycling, unfortunately, the secondary market for those products is dried up completely. And it's a shame because the last time we held something like that in Lower Makefield Township, we had over 400 cars. It was like a steady supply. And people, again, thought that was, another great idea that the township was doing. But they can't sell the stuff. They can't get rid of it anymore. So it's almost on a fee basis to get rid of this stuff.
And I'll check with the county side.
Go ahead. You check with what?
Well, the county has recycling events through the year, but I don't think their schedule's out yet. We should be checking on that. And when it does come out, make that well known. They have electronics and hazardous waste collection, things like that.
Yeah. And Suzanne, Alan and I have been talking to, what's her name? Monica, about recycling in the parks. And we will probably be meeting with her, right, Alan?
Yeah, are we going to take a census of the recycling containers? Because we have to find out if more are needed, and if more are needed, how many more, and, you know, we're gonna.
Yeah. Well, so are you coming, do you think you're coming back?
As soon as I get the vaccine,
Okay. All
I'm
right.
thinking, yeah, late March, early April.
I'll go to the parks and see what we have, make a list of what we have. And Suzanne, Monica was interested in, that's something that she's interested in doing, is doing a better job of recycling in the parks. We have bins but they're not marked and they're not in the right places, and so we can do a much better job of that.
Good.
Yeah, we may be able to buy some recycling containers out of our budget to help out, because we've done that before.
Very generous. That's very generous.
Yeah, we are.
Jean, I'll call the electronic recycling place because I actually have some things that I have to drop off.
Okay.
And then I'll let everybody know. So if they're open and stuff, then I'll just let everybody know. And then we can circulate the flyer again.
Okay. That sounds good. That's good.
Do we want to bring up the pizza box recycling?
You have to get up close and personal, Linda.
Do we want to bring up the pizza box recycling?
Oh, God.
I know. I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, in all honesty, like I said before, if we don't have a farm to take these things,
That's right.
we're kind of spinning our wheels.
Right. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I think we've talked this project almost to death.
Well, yeah. I don't know.
And I don't mind talking something to death if we get something done, but
Yeah, I mean, like, we don't have a farm that's willing to take these things. So what are we going to, we're just going to take the boxes and then do what with them?
Probably throw them in the trash.
I mean, it was a great idea and it seems to be working in Bordentown, but I don't know. We don't have anybody to go with it at this point.
Yeah.
well, they're still recyclable. My sweetie pie, what she does after we have a pizza is she cuts out the portion that's greasy and then recycles the remainder. So,
Oh yeah, I do the same thing, but I mean, like, as far as us being the lead on recycling these things, I don't think without a farm to back us on this, that they would be able to use them.
I have said this a million times and I haven't done anything about it, so I shouldn't even say it again. But I really want to talk to some of the farms, maybe the Snipes people, for example, about composting pumpkins, about the boxes, the pizza boxes, and there was that one other thing I wanted to talk to them about. Anyway, there was another thing that if I could talk to them or somebody like them, then at least if we could find out if it's doable, and I did talk to, where's my memory?
well, it doesn't matter.
Who?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Why don't you talk to these people and see if there's any positive interest and then get back to us?
All right. Well, I'm going to take it off for the next meeting, and then when it revives itself, we can bring it up as an odds and ends thing.
Sounds good.
All right. I will promise I will do something about those things before the next meeting.
Okay.
All right.
We'll do that.
So the lecture series is another one that we're just kind of leaving on for now until we figure out a date to be able to do this live and in person.
Yeah, Colleen Michaels is very receptive to changing the date, but as we mentioned in previous meetings, these lectures come across well on a virtual basis. I think you really need a hands-on attendance, to make them, vital and to get the message. So when our society quiets down a little and we can hold events like this, I think that's the right time to schedule something like this.
I guess we're going to bypass number 7 because neither Paul or Sumi are here. So Jim, you're back up again on the stewardship.
Okay, well, the Environmental Stewardship Award, as everybody knows, has been awarded to Mark Bortman this year. And Suzanne, I need some input from you on this. We would like the award ceremony to take place at the first or second meeting in February, preferably the second meeting, which is on the 17th. And you're the chair, so you've got a lot of pull as far as this is concerned. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, I can't wait to find this poll you talk about, but I will definitely reach out and try to get it on for the 17th. That day works for Mark, I take
both
it?
dates actually work for Mark, but I think the 17th works even better. And so, yeah, that's fine. I talked to Mark. He was, of course, at the recycling event. And I also asked him that since he is a for-profit business, the check for $1,000 is not given to him, but is given to a choice of 4 nonprofits that we specify in the award program write-up. And Mark wants the check to go to the Delaware Riverkeeper, and that's one of our 4 choices. Now, the other question is, I've had a woman from Yardley Voice, and they want to publicize this award and also talk about Mark, I think, in his Exact Solar business. I've been supplying her with some information, about the award. And one of the things that she asked me, though, is since this award is going to be done on a virtual basis, how do people, the regular citizens in Lower Makefield, how do they link up to the meeting? So if they want to see this award ceremony take place, how do they do it?
So that information is published all the time, just like this information is published. So they, they don't know how to be more specific than that. When the agenda comes out, it has all the call-in information, and you can always watch it on channel 22 or channel 23, depending on your provider.
Okay, so it is televised.
You watch it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's a Zoom call.
It's a Zoom. The meetings are held just like this, a Zoom call, but we broadcast the Board of Supervisor meetings on the public access channel and on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Meetings.
Right.
what's that link? It's the public access?
Well, if you go to the LMT website and go to the supervisor page, and then you click on the agenda, there's like 3 places you can get the meeting. It's Facebook, YouTube, and then I guess the LMT connection.
Okay.
You got to go to the agenda.
What is that? Is that 22, I think you said, Suzanne?
It is for Xfinity.
Comcast.
Pios is
Okay.
Pios 23 or 24.
22
No,
or 24?
Each carrier has a different channel.
Channel, right.
So I'll get the exact. Here's the problem, Jim. I can't give you the exact information for the 17th because the meeting gets created at some point, and that's when the specific numbers, like, how you punched in a number to be here.
Sure.
So those numbers, change. But I can reach out to Monica and ask her to send to you what the information is once we confirm that it's going to be the 17th, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think we can confirm that right now, actually, if that's okay with you. But of course, I guess you have to check with the other board members.
I guess I haven't actually created any agenda yet, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I will get back to you.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. But see, I had forgotten that this is still broadcast on TV. So that really is the source for most people because they don't want to speak at the meeting. They just want to see the award ceremony. So that should work out very well, Suzanne.
Okay.
And the only one we actually have to have linked up to the meeting is, or actually two, is myself and Mark, I think.
Yeah, so Monica handles all those logistics.
Okay. And the other thing is, Suzanne, is I will have a write-up. I try and do good staff work on this that I will send to you for you to read during the ceremony. You're free to read it, not read it, edit, or come up with your own. But I always like, for situations like this, for people to send something to me because, then it gets my mind working too.
I like to speak in iambic pentameter, so if you could please work that in.
Well, actually, I majored in English literature in my undergraduate degree, so I do write poetry occasionally, but it's pretty bad stuff.
That's what the mister says.
Right. Oh, the other thing is there's an award check for $1,000 that has to be made out to the Delaware River Keeper. And we, in the past year for our award to 5 Mile Woods, we had some issues that I don't really want to talk about in this meeting because this is a public meeting. And I just like to talk to you, personally about what happened last year, Suzanne.
So it was actually two years ago, and I think I helped you resolve it. So absolutely, I'm aware of it, and we'll get it better this time.
Okay, so then we don't have to talk offline, or should we talk offline?
I'm always happy to talk offline, but on this particular subject.
Okay, and I will be talking to the people tomorrow. I didn't want to talk to the Delaware River Keeper people before we had this meeting and made it quote unquote official. But I will find out where to send the check, who to make it out to, and that sort of thing. Okay?
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
The next one, the Park and Rec certification, the information was sent to Monica. I just left it up here to Monica received it. She went through it. She thanked us all for the information. So, at this point, I guess she'll let us know what's going on with it, but that item is pretty much done at this point. Odds and ends, Kevin?
Yes, I had hoped to have a presentation ready to review with the committee today, but I don't have it ready. So I want to get it to the EAC for their input before I present to the board. And I'd like to present to Suzanne as well before it goes to them officially. So I hope to get this done by next week.
Okay.
That's for the RF 100. For the other items on there.
Kevin, can you come a little bit closer? Can you pretend to be Linda?
Sorry.
Thank you.
And would you repeat what you said before when you weren't closer?
Yes, sorry about that. For the RF 100, I was hoping to have a presentation ready to go over tonight, but it's not ready yet. So I want to get that done and to the EAC and to Suzanne before it goes to the board. So I don't know if I'll have it ready for the board next week, but I want to get it done next week. So at least the process has started.
That leaves us, is that it, or sorry?
Just some other things I just wanted to report on. One of the odds and ends it's not on here, but the Pico Green Regions grant. I checked a few times last year and it wasn't publicized for 2020, and then I just saw that it was publicized for 2020. So maybe we can look at it again for 2021 as something to apply for if it makes sense. So
What grant was that? Sorry.
it was the Pico Green Regions grant. It was something we looked at in 2019, and then in 2020 they just weren't updated their website. So I don't know if they had it updated in time for anyone to apply. So maybe I'll keep an eye. I keep checking it every couple of months, so I'll see if it'll come up again this year.
All right, so I think that leaves us with open discussion, which everybody was copied on that 1101 Big Oak Road. Jim, I think you're the one who's got the most history on this project.
Yeah, I'll talk briefly about this. In 2008, we established a commission to come up with an open space inventory and an open space master plan for Lower Makefield Township. Myself, Jeff Gall, and Joe Sundin were on the committee. Jeff and I took a year to review 280 properties, and Joe actually did all the office work and made some sense out of the stuff that we were handling him. Anyway, one of the properties was this 1101 Big Oak Road property. And at the time, we classified this as an A1 property. The classification technique for this open space plan was essentially based on ease of development. The easier a property was to develop, the higher the rating it would have. So we viewed this 5.75 acre tract along Big Rock Road, since it had very few impediments to development, as a 1A property. The other thing that we found of interest in this property was at this end of the township, there's not a great deal of open space. So that was another plus. And again, it's a nice green belt. Now, in 2013, after we approved the open space referendum in Lower Makefield Township, and we had $10 or $15 million extra to spend, we sent letters out, and people that showed an interest, we called and then actually made site visits. And I think Alan was even involved in that one, if I remember correctly. But anyway, when we reviewed this property, the owner said that he has a viable business going on it. He's like a tree landscaper, and I think he might cut firewood and that sort of thing. And at the time, he wasn't interested. He did make a comment on the letter, though, about he was kind of annoyed that the township didn't try and grab some of the land across from Charles Bame rather than let them build. So I think we got the sense that he might be interested sometime in some kind of an easement or a purchase. The idea, from what he's saying, is that DeLuca is interested in this property and wants to build maybe 7 houses on it. But I think he's receptive to having somebody take a look at it and maybe go from there. Now, we have a lot of experience in looking at these places. If we get a heads up from the board, I would gladly go out and talk to this gentleman and, get a feeling for where his mind is. When we do things like this, we're very cognizant of the fact that we're not, we don't talk about price, or, we're not, talking about the viability of the township purchasing that. What we try and find out is just what his thoughts are, and then relay those to the township. So, Suzanne, possibly, I guess you might want to talk to the board about this and see what they would want to do. And then if you get back to us, if you want us to get involved in it, we would be more than glad to. But if you don't, that's just as well, too.
Yeah. So thanks for that history, because I didn't know how properties were scaled in the past. And I think it's, you said some things which, like, to me, struck a chord, including, the reference to the bond money. And, there used to be some funds available both in the township and from the county and state. And to my knowledge, those funds don't really exist anymore. And we all know that the township, is riding its financial ship, but it is not, in my opinion, 100% right yet. So whether or not we even have the bandwidth to take on acquisitions at this point is something we have to look at. So I do need to talk to the other supervisors, get an idea, talk to the staff to see, how the process might unfold, and I will get back to you.
Yeah, that's fine. And even if they're not interested in making a purchase right now, it's always good to pick these people's minds who have these properties that are very desirable, because a lot of times action doesn't have to take place right away. It could take place down the road a bit. So again, all I know is that John Lewis sent out an email saying that this person, Neil Bartlett, had been in touch with him. And so, that's it. So again, you just let us know what the plans are, Susan, and we will react accordingly. Suzanne. I almost went a whole meeting.
You did so good.
Yeah.
Well, you can't attain perfection on earth, okay? So I do apologize, Suzanne, but I'm getting better.
Okay, Joe, don't worry about it.
Can I say something about the property? Because we have to decide whether we want to purchase it outright or just get an easement for development rights, like we did on the Gizikowski farm. So that's the decision. And
the decision before that, Alan, is
whether to pursue it. Yeah, but what if we get to that point?
Right.
When we visited it, remember, Jim, there's a house there.
Yep.
So I'm feeling like the township probably wouldn't want to buy it if it has existing house, because that's always a problem. Seems like it's a problem. And you might be more interested in the development rights, just purchasing that. And you usually get that about half the cost of the actual purchase. Zillow had it at $600,000, the property. So
yeah, that's my guess was going to be in Lower Makefield Township when we purchased the Guzikowski property. I think we paid about $4.4 million for 44 acres. It was about $100,000 an acre, and believe it or not, that was the easement cost.
Right. We didn't purchase that property. We purchased
Right. It used to be about a 50-50 deal. In other words, if it was appraised for, let's say, $4 million, they bought the development rights for $2 million. But it doesn't seem to work that way anymore. The percentage rather than 50 is becoming like 70, 80, or 90. And I'm not sure exactly why, but when you said that property, 5.75 acres, Zillow said it's worth $600,000. I think that's right in the ballpark.
yeah, it's wooded as I remember. And so I don't know.
Entirely wooded.
Yeah. So that would come into play on how many houses they could get on it, because you have to preserve 75% of the woodlands.
Yeah, they were saying 7 houses, DeLuca, but
I can't see
that's just looking at the property and saying, oh, we can fit 7 houses on here.
Right.
Reply ordinance
restrictions.
could possibly get down to maybe 2, 3, or 4 too. So,
And yes, as long as we're on open space, I'd like to make a little plug for the Timco property at Edgewood and Sandy Run. That I think that would just be such an ideal open space purchase. It's all natural resource protected land. It's very observable to the public. You could have a nice little sign saying open space preserved. And that would be, I think, a good thing for the environment and good thing for your, people would like it in the township. And aren't we getting a bunch of money if we do sell the sewer? It's like 4.6 million tranche of money coming in. And I've heard it go into paving roads. Maybe we could have a little bit of it go to open space.
I don't know that, so if the sale of the sewers is approved by the PUC, then there will be a discussion. I mean, I'm on record already as saying I want to try to use that money to help keep sewer rates stable.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there are 5 of us, so we'll see what happens.
Well, I think you get a positive response, a lot of goodwill from the public if you did use at least a little bit of it for open space, because when they
Alan, Alan, right? I mean, from my work, when I worked with the Adirondack Park Agency, people hear that term open space differently.
Yeah.
right? And I'm not sure that everybody thinks of little vignettes of land as open space. Although I agree with you that that property has some interesting characteristics, and especially right there near the creek. But, a lot of people just think, oh, good, I can go walk on it, which is causing us, issues at different properties that people, so.
Well, it's in the floodplain, it's visible, and I don't know, seems like a no-brainer to me, but that's me.
Yep. Under the,
We'll be donating money to the purchase of this.
well, under the 2000, plan, or actually, I guess it was the 9 or 10 that I discussed earlier, one of the major factors that made that different from other plans is that an emphasis was put on small neighborhood plots of maybe just an acre, because these are the little magical places that make the quality of life in a specific neighborhood better, and people gravitate towards them. We're fortunate where we live in Lower Makefield. We're on one of the few undedicated streets, and there's still a wooded area, even though they put a house at the top of it. And we constantly get people walking by here. It's like, it's like a refresher. So I think these small properties are jewels in themselves, and possibly in the future we'll be looking, more into them. But my feeling, and it's also reinforced by a lot of other people, I think the purchase of open space is probably one of the best things that you can do for the people in the municipality to increase and keep the quality of life. So,
And save money.
yeah, and save money.
All right, that's our blurb.
Yeah.
I'm hearing I'd like to teach them.
Yeah.
People are watching this. I missed the privacy of a public meeting where nobody actually can watch it.
All right, I think we are done for the day. So I'm calling this meeting to adjourn.
All right, do we want to decide about February?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Do we want to have a meeting before we adjourn this meeting? Do we want to have a February meeting, or do we want to have a March meeting?
I think we ought to have a February meeting, because there's a lot of things that are ongoing right now, and even if it's a short meeting.
All right, we're already set up for February 10th at 5:00.
Yeah,
The Zoom login was in the original email, but it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, it's in the original email. I have it in front of me, a copy.
Linda, should we ask Kurt or anybody who's listening if there's any public comment? Just in case there's anyone who's trying to.
So I think we've never done that, but sure, why not?
So,
Are there any public comments?
No
We have a
public.
public watching?
thank
Public. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right, so we are calling this meeting to adjourn. We will meet in February. I'll get out the meeting minutes from December and an agenda for February eventually. We'll see, but
yeah, it'll be short.
yeah. All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank
All right.
All right.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right, good night.
We're out of here. I hope everybody.